In this video, we'll show you how you can do an ABS bleed procedure on a 2021 and newer Ford F150. Our current vehicle here in the shop is a 2022 F150 that was involved in an automotive collision and it ripped off the driver's side front brake hose. So that's why we're going into this mess. If there's a Ford engineer who's watching this, I just want to know, why did you do this to us? If you own a 2021 or newer Ford F150, you may notice that the master cylinder and the ABS module have all been combined into one unit. And that is fantastic from an engineering perspective and a cost-saving perspective for Ford. But if you're a service tech like myself, anytime that you have to do any service, you're going to have to use a pressurized ABS bleeder as well as a scan tool to be able to perform that system. So if you're doing this at home, I apologize. This may not be something that you can do, but if you're curious to know what it takes for someone to do on a dealer level or repair shop level, this is what they're going to need. They're going to have an ABS scan tool that's able to perform the ABS bleed procedure, as well as having a pressurized brake fluid machine to allow that to create forward pressure on the reservoir that goes to the pump and the ABS module. So we have our scan tool set up, which is from Topdon. It's a fantastic company. If you don't know, I am a little bit of a fanboy because one of the guys who runs it is Chad Schnitz, who's one of the most awesome guys you can meet in the scan tool world. So that's my plug for Topdon. I love you guys out there, and we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So currently we have our vehicle jacked up on all fours. We have the driver's side front caliper exposed, so we're gonna show you how we do this on the scan tool side as well as on the actual brake side. And it's a little bit different. You're actually gonna start with the driver's side front, then go to the passenger side front, and then go to the driver's side rear and the passenger side rear. If you're used to old school brakes, you're gonna remember going to the furthest one first, which would be the passenger rear, and doing the two-person brake bleed procedure. But this is now a totally different system because of the EV and hybrid technologies that are coming out in the new Fords. I am still a Ford fanboy, but I'm a little upset that we have to do this procedure. It means we cannot anymore do this service easily in the field. If you've never seen a pressure bleeder, how this works is you have a cylinder here that you can compress. And how this works is it compresses this using air pressure, and then it will force it through this hydraulic hose here into the master cylinder. And this is going to allow us to create a positive pressure inside of the master cylinder, and that's going to allow all of the fluid to be pressure bled out. On this system, we are not going to be using the suction feature. Most of the time when we're doing an ABS service or we're doing a brake fluid service, we'll use suction as well as pressure, but Ford has specifically said that all we're supposed to do is open the bleeder. It's not going to work if we provide any suction. So we'll go ahead, keep suction off, and I'm going to go ahead and start upping the pressure on our master cylinder here. We'll see our gauge. Let me give a little spit shine here. Our gauge starting to bump up. And I'm going to go to about 15 psi right here. Lock it in. We're going to go ahead and slowly open up this valve here, which is now going to start creating pressure into the master cylinder. And the reason I'm doing this slowly is I want to make sure that all my connections are solid and I don't have any leaks. I'm also wearing my eye protection here because there may or may not have been a time where I didn't do this and this thing exploded off, sprayed brake fluid everywhere. I had to run into the bathroom. It was a whole disaster. So make sure that you're actually using eye protection whenever you're using a system like this. It's just an easy way to make sure you can continue to see all the cool car problems out there in the world. So now that we've completed this step, we're going to go ahead and come into the vehicle side. And we can see here that the brake system pressure bleeding is going to begin. It says connect the pressure bleed brake fluid supply to the master cylinder reservoir slave cylinder bleeding. Do not press the brake pedal during the operation. And we have to leave it open for a minimum of 60 seconds on each corner while it goes through this process. And now that we've completed the procedure, starting from the driver's side front, going to the passenger side front, then going to the driver's side rear and the passenger side rear, we can go ahead and disconnect everything, but we're gonna have to suck a small amount of brake fluid out because as you can see here that we are totally filled up to the brim, and we're gonna wanna reduce that just a little bit below the max line because these pads have about 3/4 of their life left. So I'm just going to turn on suction and suck some of the fluid out so that we are at the appropriate level. Now, I may have sucked just a little bit too much fluid out, so I'm just going to go ahead and top off the brake fluid. These vehicles are very specific that they want to make sure that you're using the .4 LV. And the .4 LV is supposed to have a better viscosity for colder weather conditions. And that is why they recommend that you use it, because it's supposed to be custom tailored to what Ford requires. We can go ahead, put our cap back on, and go out for a road test straight to the body shop, because that's where this truck's going next. Now that mechanical's done, we're going to take it over for paint.